AEW Fight Forever is going to get more content. The game is not dead. Let's go over to WrestleZone and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, here we are on WrestleZone, and this comes from originally Mr. Right Way, so I'll leave a link to his interview down below with Tony Khan himself. Make sure you go check that out for all the information. But WrestleZone sums it up here pretty nicely. It says Tony Khan confirms future updates for AEW Fight Forever. Let me read that again. Tony Khan confirms future updates for AEW Fight Forever. Okay, let's continue reading. Reports of AEW Fight Forever's demise were greatly exaggerated, it seems. Back in July, Jay White was added to the roster of AEW Fight Forever. Since then, things have been radio silent. Yeah, because the Ukes moved on to a new game. Regarding future updates for the game, leaving many to believe that the game itself had reached the end of its run. But apparently, that's not the case. It says All Elite Wrestling president Tony Khan recently spoke to Mr. Right Way at the All In Texas on sale event when asked about the future of Fight Forever and it would see additional console releases in the future. Khan gave a very surprising answer. Says, I think it was a great experience for us, Tony Khan said, and now it's going to be something for AEW is a multimedia conglomerate, a worldwide corporation. Definitely, it was a great first entry with AEW Fight Forever. And people can still play AEW Fight Forever all over the world. Yeah. I think eventually, absolutely, we'll keep putting AEW games into the world. But right now, we're fully supporting that. And I'm excited about AEW Fight Forever. There's still more wrestlers and exciting things happening with the game. Let me say that again. There's still more wrestlers and exciting things happening with the game. What is he talking about? Like, I have a feeling that Ukes is like, this is news to us. Who's making it, right? I'm like, again, it doesn't have to be Ukes. It could be anybody, but I mean, I don't know. Like maybe Saber Interactive or something. Some third party that comes in and just does things. I'm trying to think who would do that, because there's a lot of companies that come in and do that for other companies, but still they'd have to come in, learn the code, learn everything, and then start adding stuff or changing stuff. But if it is Ukes, they're kind of busy right now, and we'll get into that in a second. All right, so it says read more, what do you make of this, blah blah blah. So one more time, there's still more wrestlers and exciting things happening with the game, and I think there's a lot of opportunities in the world of gaming, to your point. So I don't know if this is just CEO speak, or if he's actually, I mean, he just said it, right? So now the fans are going to hold him to this to actually add something to the first game. Now the other thing I wanted to show you before we end the video here is I saw this on the PlayStation Store. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you in this video is this project that Ukes has been working on. They could be working on multiple projects at the same time, because if a company's only working on one thing at a time and that thing fails, then it could tank the company. I mean, look what's been happening to like the developers of Concord and Saints Row and all these other things. If they're only working on one project and that project just completely craps the bed, then your studio might face closure. So Ukes is a company where they could possibly be working on multiple things at a time. This is their next big project. I would say big because Double Dragon is a pretty well-known franchise in the world of gaming. But the whole reason I'm bringing this up is because look at the release date of this. It says 10/22/2025. That's pretty much the end of next year. Now I since it's so specific, I can't talk. I don't think this is a placeholder date. I think this is the official release date. And if that's the case, that can mean one of two things. The reason why this is so far off is because they're currently working on AEW Fight Forever content or updates and whatever, or we're gonna have to wait until this is done and out before we get AEW Fight Forever content, which by that point the game will be long dead before they add new content to it. So if they are in fact working on new content for the game, it would make sense that they're doing it right now, which would blow my mind. But then when do you release it? Because the last thing was in July. Do you start talking about it in January? February? Do you dare go up against 2K25 in March? A lot of us are kind of down on the 2K series right now because of my faction and the bugs and all the stuff that was happening with it. Overall, 2K24 was a fun game to play, but it has a lot of issues that didn't get resolved, and this happens every single year. So maybe they're going to come in with all the fixes that we were asking for in that giant spreadsheet by Zaidi and finally do it. So we're talking a better pin system, better submission system, fixed online, creation parts out the wazoo, I don't think they'll change how the entrances work. I think that's too difficult for now. But they might just start adding stuff to the game. And instead of adding to the current game, unfortunately, I think what's going to happen is we're going to get like a Super Turbo Championship Edition, like Street Fighter did way back on the Super Nintendo, because there was no updates back then. If they wanted to update a game, they'd have to re-release it. So we could be getting an AEW Fight Forever Hyper Turbo Championship Edition, and I could see Kenny doing that because he's a Street Fighter fan. I think that'd be funny. Or they could call it AEW Fight Forever 1.5 or something. I don't think they're going to add it to the current game. If they do, it'll probably be like a paid update, like a $40, $50 update or something. But if they do release the Super Turbo Championship Edition with new bells and whistles and fixes, hopefully they include all the content that is DLC in the first game. So if we're getting a $60, $70 game with all that content on a disc or just, included in the package, I'd probably be okay with that, to be honest, because I didn't buy everything. But if it, with new bells and whistles and stuff. So how do you feel about this? Are you excited for AEW Fight Forever not being dead? Or are you like me and thinking Tony Khan is just speaking CO speak and he has no idea what's going on with the game? Sound off the comments below. Thank you for watching, and stay frosty.
Visible.